It's an absolutely wild day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast has messed up with the new Tarkir Dragonstorm play booster boxes, leading to some real problems. On top of that, people are listing the new Deadpool bonus secret lair card at 10,000 American dollars. And that's not even all the news we're going to talk about today.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for an insane installment of Mega Magic News. We've got the Deadpool bonus layer issue. We have what's going down with the Tarkir play boxes and a few other things that I want to cover as well. So let's dive in, starting with what's going on with Dragonstorm. There was a picture posted. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you right now. You're looking at an absolute treasure trove of mythic cards, right? And a bunch of those are fetch lands. If you weren't already aware, fetch lands have been included in the Tarkir Dragonstorm set, but they're brought in as special guests, which means these aren't standard legal. So the special guest cards in this set are the fetch lands and the dragons from the commander decks. That's essentially the entirety of it. Now, special guests are supposed to show up very, very rarely, but Wizards of the Coast has made a massive error. What you're looking at right now, all of these special guest cards came in one play booster box. So essentially what happened is Wizards of the Coast messed up and went ahead and put them into the uncommon slot. So the box that this came from pretty much had almost no regular uncommons in it and kicked out 1,000,000,001 of these special guest cards. Now, usually the way they're supposed to show up is one, maybe two per booster box, and on the very rare case, you would not get one at all, right? So the idea is that Wizards is using these special guests as a little extra juice to get you excited. Instead of guaranteeing you a box topper, they go, hey, any pack could theoretically have a special guest. The last time I checked, the percentage of getting a special guest from any booster pack was supposed to be about 1.5 to 2%. Now, they tinker with that here and there because ultimately when it comes down to it, they're trying to milk reprints as much as possible without completely bottoming out the secondary market. They used to do this with the list cards. You remember those that have the little planeswalker symbol down in the corner, and they could be cards reprinted from pretty much anywhere throughout Magic. So some of them would be big hammer time mythics, and some of them would be random uncommons from sets that were literally in standard in print. So you'd just be looking at them going, wait a minute, why do I have this random card here from another set? Every time a new set came out, there would be posts from people going, yo, why is there a card from a completely different set in here? I don't understand it. So Wizards slowly started to trim down the list, and then ultimately they said, okay, the list now is special guest cards, which was a confusing way to put it, but ultimately we've moved to the point where special guests are the way for Wizards to juice things. Aside from every once in a blue moon, they're still going to do one of those side sets of 80 different cards like the enchantments they did for, what was it, Eldraine, for the Brothers War artifact retro stuff they did. Every once in a blue moon, they're going to bring that out. But special guests are the way to go. And I noticed when I opened a play box for the game store that I go to that there was no special guest. I mistakenly thought the Crater Hoof Behemoth that came in the box was this special guest. So I said, yo, you scored a sweet alternate special guest artwork. And he said, that's not a special guest, bro. That's in the main set. I was gone during Tarkir spoiler season, so I didn't quite catch up on that. And then I went, wait a minute. There was literally no special guest in your box. What's going on? I haven't seen that happen before. Well, we've got our answer now. If you opened a play booster box and you're wondering, wait a minute, why didn't I get a special guest? Especially considering that they are straight up fetch lands, which are highly desirable cards. And the people also want the commander dragons as well. They are something that people are seeking out. But obviously, if you have to choose between getting a card that's in a commander deck or straight up a fetch land with new artwork that shows up extremely rarely in a box, the fetch land is going to be the big prize. So taking into account how many of them that guy got in his box, you can do the math real quick and go, wait a minute. There was dozens there. So that means for that one box that got dozens and dozens of special guests, that means there are dozens and dozens of booster boxes that will have no special guest in them. Now, this is similar to a situation that we saw back in the days of Unstable. Some of you have been around for a while might remember that. So what happened with Unstable was every booster box was supposed to have a full art foil land, and these were the big juice in the box. Actually, they represented a huge portion of the value of the box, but Wizards messed it up, and what would happen is best odds you had, maybe 1 in 3 of getting one of these lands, and 2 out of 3 boxes would be duds. Wizards knew those full art lands were so important that they put the rare stamp symbol on it. Think about that. Imagine opening a pack and for some reason the full art land that's included in there has a stamp on it. Well, this is before the days of Wizards putting special full art lands into every set where they go, check it out, here's the Dragon Shadow lands in regular Tarkir. Here's the Dragon Eye lands only available in collector boosters. Once upon a time, the full art lands were way more special. But what this did is it negatively impacted Unstable box sales to a massive degree. Now, when it comes to Tarkir, it's not the same situation because Unstable was a silver bordered set back in the day before they abolished that concept. So ultimately, unless you really liked uncards, there was no reason to get Unstable unless you literally were going to get like the the full art special foil basic lands, right? Those were the chase after cards. With Tarkir, you still have the fact that it's got a ton of awesome to play with cards. Now, I talked about some of the issues that we saw with the pre-release kits, the poor printing of stuff. Those issues are persisting with the play booster boxes. People are talking about new things. Check it out. All of my rares are coming flipped upside down and beat up straight out of the package. There's multiple issues going on with the play boxes in that way as well. So you're going to have a situation where you're going to have haves and have-nots. Now, I don't know what the chances of getting an actual ultra box are in terms of, whoa, check it out, all my uncommons are actually special guests. This won't really affect the market price of those cards because at the end of the day, it's only going to be a few people getting it. But if you can get them essentially almost out of every pack, then you're going to have a situation where people will get these ultra boxes and then a ton of people will be left out in the cold in that regard, which may have the effect of increasing the value of sealed Tarkir boxes over time, which would make them actually stand out compared to recent times where essentially every booster box just kind of craters downwards ultimately over time, right? Wizards of the Coast used to have a situation where because they didn't do so many reprints, you could pick up booster boxes of old sets and they would slowly tick up in value over time because people would want them later on down the road. So you'd have the opportunity to go, hey, do you want to have this experience? Do you want these cards? You need this box. But Wizards has changed it so much to the point that now the people who want to invest in booster boxes have gone crazy. And so when Wizards said we're changing Kaladesh to Avishkar, a ton of people went, oh, this means the Kaladesh booster boxes are on the reserved list, and that means I can buy them up. So Kaladesh boxes spiked to this insane price, where at one point they were going for like $1,000, which is pure madness, because Wizards even said when they changed the name Kaladesh to Avishkar, look, we're still using the name Kaladesh to refer to the old set. We're not making that a banned word, and every single card in Kaladesh is reprintable by Wizards, so there's nothing to make those boxes special. But it goes to show that speculators, people who want to basically buy and hold magic boxes, are looking for somewhere to put their money. And this might ultimately mean that Tarkir will benefit in one way from Wizards screw up, because each box could theoretically be one of these ultra lottery boxes. But on the other hand of it, what they're doing is they're diminishing the experience of the majority of the purchasers of sets. And this isn't something you really want to have happening in the current era of Magic the Gathering, right? If you look at what's going on with Aether Drift, for example, Aether Drift is cratering. It is having a brutal time, and I mean, we all knew it was going to happen, right? This is the same equivalent of Markov Manor from last year, where it's a complete dud hat set, but the hats are the racetracks, where they just painted race cars onto a bunch of random Magic cards and went, check it out, we use this artwork of these bugs, and did you know that once they get old enough, they evolve into cars? And it's like, sorry, what? Yeah, these bug people shed their exoskeletons, and then they turn into cars with wheels, and you just go, wait, what's going on? So Aether Drift now is pretty much done so, right? People are already moving on to Tarkir, and then we've got Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, Avatar, Edge of Eternities. Edge of Eternities is essentially going to be Aether Drift in space, but it might do better. It might be something closer to Thunder Junction than Markov Manor, but either way, Aether Drift is tumbling downwards, so you don't want to have all these problems with Tarkir because Wizards has shattered the faith of not just players, but also game stores and distributors. If you didn't know this, Markov Manor massively damaged the relationship between distributors and Wizards, and also between distributors and LGSs, where LGSs went, okay, look, we've got a bunch of product we can't sell. You'll let us send it back to you and we'll pay the 15% restocking fees. And distributors said, oh, no, right? So Aether Drift is sitting on shelves right now, not moving at all, and that's pretty much how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. You're going to see Aether Drift being massively fire sailed. That is absolutely the way it's going to go because that set is a dumpster fire. So having all these issues with Tarkir really isn't a great situation to be in. And on top of that, Wizards of the Coast is scrambling to make too many products. So it makes you wonder, is Final Fantasy going to end up with the same amount of errors? Now, we did have that Final Fantasy leak, which if you haven't seen it already, I covered like 36 new Final Fantasy cards in my last video. And it did, I mean, they were grainy images, but the cards from a surface look didn't seem like they were doing too badly. Ultimately, though, we're going to have to wait and see when the product comes out because that's when you get a much larger sample size. And the amount of errors with Tarkir is off the charts. It's the most we've seen in the last few years, bare minimum. So I don't know if it's Wizards' breakneck pace, if they just didn't care about Tarkir because it's like, just get it out the door. We're all about Universe Beyond now. Who even cares, right? So, next item that I want to talk about on my list. We already talked about the Aether Drift stagnation. The next thing we'll talk about is the Deadpool Secret Lair bonus card. So I'm going to show you two bonus cards, and you can decide after I've shown them both which one you think people are trying to sell for $10,000. All right, so the first one here is Harmless Offering. One red and two. It's a sorcery. Target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. The flavor text says, "Aw, isn't Jeff just the cutest, most adorable cuddle buddy?" The biting means that he likes you. So this is Gwenpool holding up a little baby shark from when some version of Deadpool or somebody in the comic book series literally unleashed a whole bunch of land sharks. And if you don't remember it, because you're not a million years old like me, but land shark was an old joke from Saturday Night Live, and I presume that's what they're playing on here. So you can see they've got a fat little shark baby. He's literally taken a bite out of the top in the text in the type line there. So I really enjoy the whole concept of these breaking the fourth wall cards. The Deadpool Secret Lair is a lot of fun. And Harmless Offering for me is a card that I'm not a big fan of. Obviously, you can use it to give your opponent stuff you don't want anymore. If you've got an enchantment that comes out and gives you a bonus and only has a downside, you can hand it off to your opponent and go, this is your problem now. But I've never been a fan of giving my opponents any of my cards ever, or cards that say like, your opponent draws a card, you draw a card. I want it all for me. I'm a powerful planeswalker and I ain't here to share. Now, let's look at the second bonus card. This is Blacker Lotus, and man, is this a cacophony of noise visually, right? So, how does it work? Tap it, tear Blacker Lotus into pieces, and add 4 mana of any one color. Remove the pieces from the game. And down at the bottom, it says, I made it better, you're welcome, and then XO XO Deadpool. So, I mean, obviously, when you look at these two bonus cards, I think you might have an idea of which one is the one people are trying to sell for $10,000. And your answer is correct if you've selected the Blacker Lotus. So here's a posting of somebody literally trying to sell this thing for 10 G's. Now, bear in mind, if you're new to Magic, you might not be aware this is a reprint. Yeah, the artwork shows a Black Lotus from the original Black Lotus, and it's like got its edges all scratched out so you can write Blacker Lotus on the top. And there are people who actually think, wait a minute, was this signed down at the bottom by Deadpool? Like, was this a physically signed card? Maybe Ryan Reynolds signed it? No. These are all printed this way. And this is the rarer of the bonus card in the secret layer. But ultimately, this is, and I do say ultimately a lot recently. It's funny how we all end up getting caught on particular words that become a part of the way that we talk. But ultimately, this is a card from the original Unglued set, which was very fun, but at the same time, nobody wants to tear up Magic cards anymore. If you've never heard about it, back in the day, there was a format called Iron Man, where you would literally tear up cards that got destroyed. So if a card went to the graveyard, it would get ripped up. Disenchant my Mox, that Mox gets torn into pieces. And yes, people did do that. I actually played in events where we played for Ante and it was Iron Man. So we played for each other's cards and you tore up the cards as they got destroyed. It's the only tournament I've ever played in where you literally had to bring a sideboard box of extra cards to shove into your deck to replace the stuff that got destroyed. It was a really fun idea, but also a pretty crazy one that nobody in their right mind is doing nowadays. The closest that you'll find are the insane individuals who are like, yo, let's play Flip It or Rip It, where we tear into booster packs, flip over random cards we keep, and tear the other ones in half to see if we've just got hosed. And that is mind-blowing to me. You're not even playing an actual game with it. That is ultra-level degenerate gambling as far as I'm concerned. But with the Blacker Lotus here, just so you're aware, nobody has bought it at $10,000. This is a deranged asking price where they're hoping, wait a minute, maybe somebody will pay this. But it's had a knock-on effect where other people have seen that price and said, yo, if they're selling it for $10,000, then I can sell it for $5,000. And somebody else sees that and goes, I'll undercut them. I'll sell it for $2,000 because I don't think it's worth that. I'll go for $1,000. So you can find these all listed at brain damaged prices. I have literally no idea where it's going to settle as a final price, but bear in mind that there are more of these secret layers coming. If you didn't know, Wizards of the Coast is sending out secret layers to regular distribution chains so that you'll be able to buy non-foil versions of this secret layer straight up down at your LGS. Now, it remains to be seen whether the foil ones will command a higher premium because you could only buy the foil secret layers online, or whether people won't care about them as much because they all curl up. But either way, this is not worth $10,000, and it shows the absolute market insanity that can grip people when something like this comes along. And Magic the Gathering has sold like some of the secret layer giveaway at event cards, the ultra rare you only get it if you win card, have gone for thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's understandable why somebody thought, yo, maybe I can pull down 10 G's for this. But at the end of the day, there's zero chance of that. I don't see anybody biting on it at $1,000, let alone $10,000. Now, as a final note, just want to let you know that Brian Tinsman, the dude responsible for designing a bunch of old school Magic the Gathering sets, is actually working on a concept for Commander where it would turn it into a 7-turn format specifically, which is an interesting idea based off of his design of Wonders of the First. And I did an interview talking about that game. It's up on my live stream channel. So if you'd like to see that, we talk about Magic the Gathering, we talk about Wonders of the First, but he was messaging me today about his ideas to create a specific 7-turn Commander format. No fewer turns, no more turns. It is an interesting variant idea. idea, and I was giving him my feedback on some of the concepts. So he's still working it out, and I'll keep you guys up to date. But if you want to hear an interview where I talk to somebody who worked on a ton of old school Magic sets and helped to influence our favorite game, I'll leave a link to that down in the pinned comment there, and I will also be live over on that channel tonight. So if you want to come by and hang out, I might have gotten something cool in the mail to take a look at. We'll see. So thanks for coming by, my friends. Big shout out to my patrons. You guys rule. And I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.